The Skillman International Conference 2023 in Riga has been a case of best practice of cooperation, international partnership building, peer learning and policy shaping. The availability of the Ministry of Education in Latvia to host, co-organize and contribute to the event has been a huge added value. The commitment of the Latvian government and Ministry of Education was evident from the start, from the engagement of key policymakers in the shaping and organization of the event, and confirmed by the high-level contribution from the Prime Minister and the Ministry of Education. Latvia is a worldwide recognized case of successful model of deep reforms in the education sector. Having the opportunity to benefit from key contribution and study its opportunities has significantly enriched the value of the conference and its recommendations. The participation of an Ukrainian delegation represented by the head of the National Qualification Agency, national responsible for the European Year of Skills, has been important to underline the need to develop education systems which put at the heart civic and ethic competences crucial for the respect of human rights. The CIF 2023 conference has been the opportunity to reflect on the evolution of the megatrends which have been affecting human capital development processes and the needs of the labour market, which have been already identified in the previous CIF conference 2022. Digital transformation and green revolution have been the main trends discussed at the conference. Keynote speeches and presentation of country contexts and policies have tried to analyze the impact on the labour market, showcasing the huge potential in terms of creation of occupation. So providing an optimistic view of the impact of digital and green transition instead of a negative one. But showing also a partial inadequacy of national policies and systems to deal with this monumental change. The first clear message that emerges is the will of policymakers worldwide to develop a flexible system to cope with economy and labour market disruption. Gone is the ambition of maintaining qualifications relevant only through continuous analysis of labour market trends and anticipation of its needs. You don't mean that these policies and tools are not necessary, justify that it is not, they're not quick enough. It is now evident that competences have to be updated on the fly and recognition mechanisms have to be arranged to cope with the parceling of qualifications. The new concepts of micro-credential and digital credentials have been refined to provide a flexible but transparent and quality-assured framework. In some contexts, the private sectors have even started to put more attention to the people's competences and skills over the formal qualifications. And this is a trend that we think that we should keep monitoring and potentially discuss in the CIF 2024. It is also clear that the increased pressure on the continuing education system to ensure the relevance of people's competences and the challenges that these are facing will inevitably lead to a reform of the initial education systems. The historical objective of transferring knowledge to students in the form of thematic subjects has already been integrated with an increased focus on key competences. Now, countries have started to reverse the order of priorities, or some countries have started to reverse the order of priorities, and we would actually recommend that all countries start to do it. While it is possible, while it is possible to strengthen key competence throughout their life, it is clear that young age is the crucial moment to provide people the tools to be active citizens and workers. Failing to do so will have a negative impact on our society, way beyond exclusion from the labour market. It has also become clear that some social and ethical competences should be part of the key competence package. CIF 2023 has chosen to put the role of networking, peer learning and collaboration at the heart of the discussion. The European integration has provided opportunities for policy learning and knowledge sharing like we have never had in the history of Europe. The peer review model of ECAVET, just to make an example, is a perfect example of how trust among countries is becoming a successful model for continuous improvement. Countries like Latvia have successfully integrated this concept in their national policies and processes. International networks like Skillman have demonstrated over the years the extent of the impact that networking is bringing to all their members. This conference has been the opportunity to discuss networking as a policy-making tool, presenting success stories of the work of historical and new networks, and providing participants the opportunity to connect and plan the future cooperation. Now let's go back to the key concept of the previous declaration, the concept of learning society. So the conference confirmed the vision of a learning society, where the strengthening of people competence throughout the life goes beyond matching the evolving needs of the labour market. The vision of a society where all citizens have the capacity to actively contribute to the civic and political dimension. Skillman strongly believes that the second set of competence cannot be considered as a secondary component within the human capital dimension. During these 2 days, we had the opportunity to reflect on where we stand in the achievement of this vision. Depending on the level of ambitiousness and optimism, we can identify 3 different state of minds or scenarios, depending on how you mean it. The first one is life learning as a state of the art of EU human capital development systems. If you're optimist but not ambitious, we can convince ourselves that we already achieved real lifelong learning system through a lot of efforts, to be honest, new policies, massive EU programs. Of course, the efforts have to be maintained, policy improved, better targeted, but we are right on track to develop system flexible enough to reply to the challenges of our world. According to me, anytime you consider that you've achieved an important principle, you always run the risk you don't improve it anymore. There are several examples. The easiest that comes to my mind is the United States, which consider themselves the democracy, and you cannot actually say that they are not a democracy, but then you check how many people actually vote in the government, it's 25–30%, and what is striking is that they don't consider it a problem. Because once you consider it achieved, then you don't investigate anymore. If you look at societies which consider themselves egalitarian, I mean, they are egalitarian and equitable because they believe that you have to keep an effort. No society, not even Sweden, actually define this. They have achieved egalitarian society. So that's why for me it's important that it's a bit dangerous to consider that we have achieved a lifelong learning society. And I don't personally think it's the case. Lifelong learning is a myth. On the opposite side of the spectrum, where we are ambitious, so we have a great idea of what it should be, but pessimistic, we may end up developing a negative vision characterized by the realization that all our efforts are not really affecting a big part of our society. Despite billions spent in active labor market policy, youth guarantee programs and other activation programs, there's ample evidence that part of the population don't have the tools to enter any form of continuing training. And the majority of the people does only marginal. This anti-vision is not really something we conceptualize or we believe in. At least I think that we all agree on this, but it's more a negative state of mind when we new evidence or report confirms how much far we still are behind our own targets, like 60% of people taking part in training every year. Not to speak about the ideal of providing real career and life-growing opportunities for all. The third option, the third state of mind, and that's what I think that the Skillman network stands for, and probably that's where the discussion we had lead, is lifelong learning as an idea, the learning society. So daring to be ambitious and daring to be optimist at the same time. Objectively recognizing the value and impact of our efforts, because a lot of efforts are going on and a lot of results have also been achieved, but maintaining a critical approach fueled by the vision of what we would like our society to be. So we would like something much better, and we have to keep on working on it. Let's be honest, hard evidence shows that we are not providing young people even the basic tools to engage in lifelong learning development. Data on functional literacy stand at 28 for Germany, so these are huge amounts, because this is the percentage of people that have functional literacy over the whole working age population. So if you look at people who have difficulties in staying in and out of the labor market, you might get to 50, 60, 70, because all those who don't have, they probably are in the labor market. So we can actually do more on continuing training and solution policies. I mean, the investment have been huge, the programs, the work of the employment offices. At a certain point, you end up with a ceiling, and the ceiling is the lack of basic competence of students. Only people who have obtained the basic key competence in initial education can benefit from the wealth of tools, programs, and resources that we are willing to put at their disposal to enable a real lifelong learning. The redefinition of what are the targets of students learning in initial education should become a priority, as well as a continuous assessment. it's not that complicated to check at the end of primary school if the students can actually understand the text, and to do the same after the lower secondary, upper secondary. It's not a complicated test. It's not a psychological analysis. You have to do one-to-one, and you say you don't have enough psychologists. I mean, this can really be easily checked. It's not as simple as it sounds overall. It is almost likely requires structural reforms in a very conservative environment like education, a long-term perspective to observe impact. As a minimum, as soon as you start, you need to wait 20 years for the student to get out in the labor market. But we consider this a condition sine qua non to really move towards a learning and just society. And we think it can be done. We think that Latvia, the other Baltic countries, Finland, are already providing good examples, and that being bold brings results. So we think that those countries should continue, and the others should try to follow. Thank you very much.